Double R Flo-Town, episode number 9. We're cruising now, Reeves. We're rocking.
We've steamrolled right past number 8, which was the goal all along, and now we're into number 9. We've got 2 great guests here today, Fernando and Anareli, and just a great conversation.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see how they tie into Florence. You know, they kind of came here with nothing, and through hard work and some help from God have done awesome things.
Well, people's stories shape you. And hearing their story has really helped shape me and helped me look at even the immigration issue that we have in America from a different perspective. And Anareli obviously is a real estate agent with us, phenomenal real estate agent in our office.
She is. She's
and
great.
Fernando does a lot of work, you know, around town. And they are a blessing to Florence. They've been a blessing to us. And just to be able to have that conversation with them is awesome.
What's been cool, and I think everyone will see this as they hear them talk, is from their first, like when they bought their first home here, it meant more to them than I feel like it would to us. We kind of take that for granted. To them, huge. And then every piece of property they buy here after, it's like they never thought they would own anything.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the cycle of nations, and I'm not going to say this exactly the way it's said. But you know, good times make lazy people make, you know, poor nations, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And the hard times they've gone through has made them excited and hungry and thankful for the blessings they've received, and it really kind of gives me a different perspective when I hear their story and compare it to maybe myself or my kids or people around me. It kind of punches me in the gut a little bit, and to have an attitude of gratitude, and I don't want to sound cliche, but really to be thankful for what we have instead of to think negatively or what I don't have. Be thankful for what we do have.
And then be thankful for Florence. Like they feel like this is their home and they're proud of Florence and they love being here. And you know, sometimes us growing up here, we're like, how do we get out of Florence? That's our whole focus, is how do we escape? But then you see somebody that came from a much worse place and come here and just appreciate all the little details we take for granted, I think is refreshing and good to hear.
Very good.
So we have got our good friends, Fernando and Anareli. All of our real estate people know Anareli already. She's rocking it out in real estate. Fernando's our behind the scenes making magic happen.
There you go.
He's making Florence more beautiful every day.
Thank
You guys are doing an amazing job with what you do. So anyway, there's so much to talk about. We could probably go for 4 hours.
Yeah.
But Reeves, you take over and you lead the charge.
Well, Anareli, you work with us at Greystone, and Fernando, you do a ton of construction work and repair work, both for us with Greystone and those properties, but your own business. And just sitting with you guys over the last several weeks, hearing your story has been inspiring to me. So I'd kind of like to jump off and just
Start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning.
Yeah.
How did you get here, you know, with your mom, and start back with your mom and tell us the story of coming to America.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here. Thank you guys for thinking about us. You know, I think a lot about you guys since the day we met you guys. Well, first Thomas, Robert, and then Reeves. You know, I've heard a lot about you through Robert, but you know, it's. I think this is a story where at one time we were in a country where my mom didn't know God. You know, she was religious, but not a Christian and not a Christ follower. But it's a long story. You know, I'm not gonna go really deep into it because it does have a lot to it, and part of it is like my mom, when she tells me everything she lived through, it's like almost a horror movie. You know, some of it, because it's just. She went through so much at the age of, you know, even when she was young. Maybe my brother, he can go to even more detail, but I just go kind of like what I can remember her telling me was like, you know, just from her being young and being sick and having epilepsy and just different things that she lived through. Almost died, several times through her when she was young, and just growing up, getting older, not being able to have babies, and kind of marrying just because they thought that once she got married,
She would be healed.
She would be healed. So that's the reason, kind of, she got married. But again, through doing one thing and another, for her trying to be a woman, her belief was if she couldn't have babies, then she was not good enough. That
She
was,
grew up in Mexico, right?
grew up in Mexico, yeah.
And she had this belief, that you just expressed, that
Yeah,
if she couldn't be a mom,
Yeah.
there was no real value to her
Exactly.
life.
That was
Yeah,
her desire, was to be a mom
Yeah.
and to be healed
Okay.
from the epilepsy.
And so how did she get to America? When did she come, and what's that journey like?
Yeah, so we grew up. I was at the age of 7. That's when she decided. Well, I was 7, and she decided to come to the States with my older sister and my older brother, Anareli. She wasn't born yet, because of physical abuse, mental abuse, and it's not. Yeah, it didn't. It wasn't that she wanted to come. It was that if she felt that if she didn't, then her life was in danger.
Wow.
And again, I'm not my dad. I think that's what happens when God is not in somebody's life. I don't guilt my dad. I think addictions kill. Addictions, sin kills. And I think it was because he was when he was sober, he was a great person, a diesel mechanic, and my mom tells us that he was just as good, but then when he was under the influence, he would be a totally different person. And I never hated my dad. It's just I at the moment I didn't know what was going on. So young, and so she decided to come to the States. Thank God to one of my aunts that told her, "Hey, come over here. We'll figure out a way. Doesn't matter. What happens. We'll get you here and
We'll help you out."
We'll help you out. And thank God, it was 1994, back, 30 years ago, a long time ago. So
Yeah, you're getting old.
yeah,
Not as old as Robert.
No.
yeah. He got me. He got
Oh,
me.
no.
He could be my dad, I think.
Oh, yeah. I am.
Yeah, you could be his dad.
I'm just American dad, and I'm proud.
There you go.
Proud.
Yeah. But so she came to the States illegally back in '94. Back in the day, it wasn't as hard. I think it was people's minds were different. People would go back and just back and forth, just make money, go back. And I didn't know, what was illegal, what was not, and so we came here. My sister was like, I think my sister was 15, Jerry was 10, I was 7, and my mom started working. She brought us here, and I thank her for that.
To Florence.
No,
No,
she brought
to
us
California.
to California.
California is where you. Okay.
We were there 3 years. Anareli was born in Georgia. So
Okay.
from there, I think, like I said, I can see God putting father figures every step of the way.
Wow.
And one of those father figures was Anareli's dad. He, even though, again, I take the good in people. Not everybody's perfect. Everybody has their
flaws.
Their flaws and their strengths. But I think there's good in people.
What memories do you have as a 7, 8, 9-year-old coming to America, moving here? What was that like for you as a child?
Oh man, we didn't have much. We came here basically with our clothes. Didn't have nothing at all, and we started school, no English. So in California at that time, you didn't really need English. Everybody spoke Spanish, like Mexico, really.
Okay.
And still today, you go to certain cities, places, and you got to know Spanish to get around.
Wow.
So what I remember is living on whatever my mom could get us, and thank again she's got sisters that live there and they helped us out. But I can remember my mom working like 2-3 jobs at one time to be able to, have we, at the time we had 3 kids and no husband, and
I will say a story, sorry to interrupt. The tags on her shirts, she would get paid a penny to sew those tags in. And so if she would find a nickel or a dime on the floor, she'd pick it up because she'd be like, she'd work so hard to try to make 100 tags on shirts to get $1. And so it was so difficult for her to be able to survive and then support 3 kids. And so even till today, this day, she'll see a quarter, she'll pick it up. A nickel, she'll pick it
That's
up.
25 shirts.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's exactly what she tells me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
a lot of
Your
work.
mom's a strong woman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There could be a book written about her.
Oh, yeah.
And it'd
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my mom at that time, like I said, I was telling Reeves the other day, I saw him, and I don't, like my past, I look back and I tell anybody, like I'm not ashamed. I think that's what God brought us, and that's why I'm the person that I am.
Yeah.
Like there was a moment that, like I said, my mom had 2 or 3 jobs. She would, work the whole day, make minimum at that time it was like $2 and something, I think, minimum. But then she would make less than that. So rent is real high, in California, even back then. So she would sell donuts and different things just to make ends meet. But I was telling him that I remember we would go to like Food Lion, stores like that, and they have dumpsters to where they throw everything that's expired and old fruit, they would throw it in there, but we would get excited, because I can't remember if it was like maybe once a week, twice, once every 2 weeks we would go and we would dig through there and we would have food, and we would have a cart full, full of food, 2 carts full of food, and we would be happy for that. And I don't know, it's like what I come to think about is like, happiness or joy is really not in having things. It's further than that. It's you go to these other countries, man, and they don't have much at all, and they're so happy, they're joyful. Life is just the focus is different. The mindset is different.
The gratitude is different.
Gratitude is different. It's just you see them and they're joyful. And I've been with people that have a lot and they're so stressed out.
Oh, yeah.
And miserable.
And I don't want to, I don't want to get to that point. I don't consider myself to have a lot, but thanks, to God, I feel like that I'm very blessed. And now I don't want to lose that, So going back a little bit, so we would go to those places and get the food and just be happy for that, and didn't know much better. And then again, I remember things like my mom. One time she bought us these backpacks, thinking, with her hard work, and I remember those backpacks were girl backpacks. They were little small ones back in the day they would use with little small straps. Mm-hmm. She didn't know any better,
Yeah.
But she gave them to us, being so happy, and my brother's like, that's girl stuff. I'm not gonna take that to school. But again, it's like those little things that she would do for us, and for us to just show gratitude, we would use them. I remember we had our first Nikes. I was maybe 9, 10 years old when I had my first Nikes, and I was showing them off. Look like
my shoes.
yeah,
You had arrived.
stuff like that. But like I said, one thing led to another. From California, we went to Georgia because my mom met my stepdad, and he was a good guy. Again, had flaws again like anybody else. But I think he tried. I believe a lot of people, the way they act is of what they learned, in their past. Maybe they were raised like that. Maybe, a lot of times I know certain people you will not understand, you will not comprehend them, but you just gotta know that they've been through different things that we've been. Like my mom, you won't be able to understand her. You just gotta.
No matter how hard you try.
Yeah, you just gotta embrace and love them. And that's one. My mom's, she's a very tough woman. And now, we see her expression of love is just different, and with her, and we're not jealous, because now.
Don't tell anybody, but I'm the favorite.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. The angel child with the angel baby.
But
I didn't get in trouble as much as they did,
Two
and
brothers.
sisters?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm
Okay.
the baby.
You're the baby.
second.
Oh, you
Yeah.
were the baby, and then she.
Yeah, then she came
Yeah,
up.
I swooped in.
Yeah.
But my mom, my mom was really strict, and that was a good thing, man, because my brother Jerry, he was heading the wrong way.
Was he?
Yeah, he would. And I think again, going back, I believe in generational curses.
Yeah.
I think, it was just where we grew up, the environment. Jared would like to see like torture, like animals, being tortured or killed and stuff like that. And he can tell you some more. Maybe one day you can invite him. He got a really deep testimony,
yeah.
and God has brought him, and I admire him so much.
Oh, yeah.
Just his love for God is everything he does. For anybody. He's a very generous person.
I mean, it's
God rescued him.
amazing what God does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then that's the thing. So going back a little bit, just to kind of tell you where God came in was back in California. My mom, had epilepsy again. Something that I thank God I don't remember it, and she wasn't born yet, but my sister does, my older sister, my brother does, and she said she would she would have a feeling on her hands, kind of go up and know that it was coming. So she would bite on a rag, so she wouldn't bite herself, and she would throw herself in the bed, and that's where she was living through. I remember her telling me that she started going to church here in the States because we would say we were Catholic just because everybody
Everyone's Catholic.
Yeah, just because our ancestors or people that would tell us that's what I believe. So my mom started going to church in California, and she decided to believe God, and she told God she was tired of it. There was something that nobody want to have. It don't matter where you at. You might be driving, you might be at a restaurant, you might be home, and she one day all of a sudden she's like, God, I'm gonna believe you, and because they told her she would have to take pills the rest of her life, and so she was like, look, God, I'm gonna believe you. I'm gonna throw the pills away. And from here on going on forward, I'm not, I'm healed in the name of Jesus. And from that step of faith, from that day, never again. She had another
Wow.
episode.
Wow, praise God.
Wow.
This has been over, I think with her, it's been probably right at 35 years maybe. And that right there, it's a miracle. There was the doctors, there was no cure, and that's when I believe our God is supernatural. There's things that we don't understand. You just got to believe, and that's faith. That's faith.
Yeah.
A lot of times we want an explanation to everything, and we want answer to everything, and that's when you just got to believe. And so I've seen God work in my life, throughout my life, so many times, my family's life, just different ways, that there's no explanation. So my mom then didn't take any more pills. She did have those moments where she thought that she was going to have it, but she was like, no. She would pray and never ever had another episode of that. But and thank God, because again, I see my mom and I tell her, where she comes from and where she's at now, I'm so
Totally different.
very grateful. She was a very strict mom. I remember she would, Jerry and I would fight. She would, sit us together. And I don't know if you ever seen like the
big T-shirt.
the big T-shirt meme. Like she would put us in that and be like, you're our brothers.
Hug each other.
And Jerry was like, I ain't gay. I'm not hugging. Stuff.
She needs to write a parenting book.
Oh yeah.
No, she was really strict. I don't know. Nowadays it would be considered maybe abuse.
Yeah. I think it worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked, and we are so grateful with my mom. We love her so much. She's just a strong woman.
Yeah.
And again, till today, she feels like she hasn't done much. This or that. And I tell her, Mom, you done. We're here because of you.
So you were in Georgia. You were born in Georgia.
Yes.
And then, okay, how do you get to Flo-Town?
Again, my brother-in-law, he was pastoring in Georgia at the time. So my mom, again, she went back. I bring my mom every time because this is like she was the whole time there.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
my mom decides to go to California for 6 weeks because she wants to go visit. she ended up staying 6 years, and that's
And I went with her.
yeah. She went with her.
And you guys stayed.
Again, because she was having a rough time with my stepdad and separated. So she
Okay.
was, I think she wanted just something different. So she went and she stayed, and so she stayed for 6 years. We stayed with my older sister, and
Okay.
and the thing with my older sister, again, I'm so grateful with just everybody in my life, just because my older sister, my brother-in-law. Now, like I think myself, I'm like, man, like if I had like my wife, and she tells me I'm gonna take care of my kids. I'm gonna take care of my brothers, for a while, till because my mom, she left us or whatever. And I don't think I could be okay with that. Just having two
It's not
additional
easy.
kids.
Extra
No.
kids,
Yeah.
yeah.
And at the time, my brother, me,
And she had 3 of her own.
and she had, well, at the time she had 2 of her own. It was not easy, but I've never heard them say, like, y'all need to get out of my house, and my brother-in-law, that's why I think and again, he's like another father figure because, he was there the whole time and never heard anything from him. Like he would share, give, whatever he would work. Didn't have much. We came to Florence because he ended up being pastor. They called him from Tifton, Georgia, a little town there, about 45 minutes from Florida border. And we came to Florence. I was in high school. My brother stayed back because he wanted to finish high school in Georgia. And so I came, again, like God put a guy named George Bailey in Georgia. He put another father figure. His name was George Bailey, older guy, maybe at the time he was probably early 70s, and he just took me in, and he would say I was his grandson, and his love for me was just great. And he would take me to church. We would go to Cracker Barrel every Sunday.
That's awesome.
Every
Yeah.
Sunday we would go to Cracker Barrel. And
That's where I love for Cracker Barrel
Yeah.
comes.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't have. Well, he had out of all his grandchildren had one grandchild. Well, grandson, and I think they were not really close. So I was like right there, and actually I worked for him. My brother and I worked for him. I started working at the age of 10 years old at a tire shop.
Tire shop.
And now to look back, I was like that's crazy, because one time I remember first I started painting tires. I would paint tires and just paint them black, make them look newer.
Yeah.
Because they're old. So the used tires, we would paint them. And again, I didn't start working because I was told to. I started working because I wanted to. I don't know. There's always been in me like business, just it's always been in me. I used to sell candy at school, just to make extra. Again, not at that moment, it's not because I didn't have anything to eat. it was in me,
Oh yeah.
And I was working there, and I remember the first check I got for my first week. My brother got 100, I got 50, and I started to cry. I was like, man, like these got paid more, and like this is unfair. But he was again 3 years older. He was 13, and he took us in. I remember one time this lady came up to get her tire changed. And she said, "I'm not gonna let that boy change my tire. It might come off." And now I'm like, I wouldn't either. But Mr. Bailey, he got upset, and he's like, you know what? That's my grandson. If you want to leave, you can leave.
Wow.
And don't talk about my grandson. I was like, wow. Stuff like people like that in my life.
God put those people in.
Yeah.
That's just so cool how people make a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The value and the importance of, Mr. Bailey investing in you.
Yeah.
And the blessing and the reward of that, how incredible that is, Fernando. That is so cool.
Yeah, now I see it. Back in the day, I did not understand it, but I see that God put those people in there.
Yeah.
I remember, and then one of the sad things is that I came to Florence, and he was kind of like sad, like, oh, you leaving? You're like, yeah, I'm leaving. But we'll stay in touch, and we did stay in touch. And one day, his daughter called me, and we hadn't spoken in a couple weeks, maybe almost a month, and called me to tell me that he died. And they shocked me. I was like, what happened? And they told me that he had cancer. He never told me.
Really?
Yeah, and it was an ongoing thing, and I don't know why he didn't tell me, but I think just because he didn't want to be for me to
He
be
didn't want to
worried.
burden you with that.
Yeah. And his wife died just a few weeks later. They were up in age back then. They were maybe in their mid 80s, maybe late 80s,
Okay.
and they both died right there. But I thank God for him. My wife met him. We one time from here we went to a trip to Disney, and on the way, we had to go by there, and we went by there, and we went to Cracker Barrel, and he invited us, and we had a good time, and so she met him, and again, so we came here to Florence, and in Florence, we lived in a mobile home park again because we didn't have much. It was my sister, 3 kids, and then me. Then my
And your
brother
brother.
came. My mom was still in California. She stayed there, and that time, I don't guilt her. She went and she found a job, and Georgia was a little harder. I think she in her whole life always wanted to have something and wanted to work towards something, and so our relationship from then it just went down. I remember my brother at one time, she would call and like, what am I going to say? I believe that relationships, love is built through relationship. That's with children. That's with parents. That's you can give your child $1,000 a week, but that's not going to replace time, the relationship. And that's something that's the beauty of just life. That's the beauty of life, that the most expensive things in life doesn't cost you a dime.
Just your time.
The air we breathe, the relationships we build, all those things they're given by God, and joy. Again, the fruits of the Spirit. Those nobody can take those away from you. So we came to Florence, and our relationship, my relationship with God was not the greatest. I did not understand much. I was just going with the flow, And so we came to Florence. We lived in Cemetery Road. Cemetery Road, like the very back over there by where the
National Cemetery?
National Cemetery Road, over there where the veterinarian is. Animal shelter. Yeah.
How old were you then?
I was maybe 14.
So 14 you moved here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What school did you go to?
Williams Middle School.
And how old were you?
I was in California with my mom.
Oh, you were in
Yeah.
California with your mom.
I didn't know her
at that
much. We didn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I knew I had brothers and a sister, but I didn't really
You didn't
have.
know them very well.
Yeah, I didn't. It was just like, oh yeah, I have 2 brothers and a sister, but that was it. That was the extent of the relationship.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't communicate much.
And so, Fernando, you came to Florence. You were at Williams Middle School, and your relationship with the Lord.
Yeah, so at that moment, I went to I think elementary, then middle school. I was gonna go to Williams, but then we moved from Florence. We didn't stay here too long. We were put in the church, and church got a prophecy right here on that side of town, and we were in the little room. Didn't have much of members. It was just like a family and us. But the same pastor that brought him here was in Darlington, and from Darlington he was going. They're going to move him, so he moved my brother-in-law to Darlington. So my high school year, I ended up going to Darlington High School.
Okay.
I started there in 9th grade, and again, God put other people in my life, people that took me in. A guy named Luis Garcia. He took me in for 6 months because they were living here. I was going Darlington High School, so to start off the year. I went to live with them. A guy named Casey Powell, and his dad, which was Luis Garcia. They took me in for 6 months. I was living there with them and Miss Gwen.
She's awesome.
Yeah, Miss Gwen. So all them, they took me in, and we were there 6 months, and it was a great relationship. My brother, he stayed in Georgia, so we lost a little bit of relationship with my brother. He stayed over there a year. I came over here, and so we were always split. My brother was in Georgia. My sister was in California. My older sister, I was living with her.
Yeah.
So it was a time where I think my brother-in-law, again, I admire him so much because now I look back, and now he was younger than what I am now. but he took that role. Like he took the role to be a father of really us, and just didn't have much and didn't care to have much. We would live in places where we could afford, and it was at that time $200-300 a month.
But he just invested in you.
He invested
yeah.
in
And
us.
he
yeah.
took a father figure role
yeah.
for you and your siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Anareli, you're in California during this season. I
Yeah.
want to come back to you, Fernando, but how did you get to Florence?
So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my backstory. It's not as powerful as theirs, but we used to live in a shed with my mom because rent is so expensive in California. My aunt, she rents out all the rooms in her house. And so for us to be able to live there, all the rooms were rented out, could not fit anywhere else. So my mom says, what if I buy a shed, which is kind of where you put your lawnmower now, just a tiny little shed. And so she says, what if I buy one of those and put it in your backyard? Will you let me live there? She says, yes, of course you still have to pay rent.
Oh my goodness.
But you can live there. That's fine. So she buys a shed and we're living in there, which for me, I didn't know it was, anything different. She fixed it up as nice as she could. We had a twin size bed that me and her slept in. And it was just life for me. But I remember one time I had a friend that was a neighbor who found out where I lived and that I lived in the back of the house in the shed. And I remember getting bullied at school, and they'd say, "Oh, you live in a hamster house. Oh, and then I don't have a dad with me, so then they'd bully me and tell me, you don't have a dad, so I was heavily bullied in school, and it was very difficult because I didn't have the newest things, I didn't have the best things, but my mom was working so hard to save up because her dream was to come back to her kids. And so she says, if I work really hard and save as much as I can, when I come back, I'll have something to show for it.
Wow.
And so that was kind of what California was like for me.
And so she eventually accomplished that?
Yes.
And got you back here?
Yes. So she missed them so much. And I think at that point bought a house.
Yeah, she saved enough money to buy a house in Georgia, and then ended up selling the house, and we bought a house in Florence, where she lives at now, actually, on Hoffman, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she went, that ended up...
That's just absolutely amazing and
Yeah.
Which it's
awesome.
It's really a lot of people talked about her, and they were saying, "Oh, you cheapskate! Why don't you do this?" Because a lot of people would go to vacations, and she'd be like, I can, but I'm not going to because I have my goal set, and my dream is to have something for my kids." And so she set that goal and she accomplished it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, you moved back. So you guys moved back. How old were you?
How old? 10?
Yeah, I was in high school, so
You were in
I
high
think she
school.
was around 10.
Yeah.
So y'all come back and the family's coming back
Yeah.
together.
It's coming back together, but at the same time, it was not the greatest because
Right. It takes time.
it takes time. It was
heal.
weird,
Yeah.
like it was, you haven't seen him for 6 years. We barely know Anareli, so it was not like the greatest thing. Like, oh yeah, and even my sister, she was like, she felt it's like a sweet sour moment, like because
I get
and I admire my older sister so much because she has a heart for the family, and she don't care. Like she doesn't care what she's got to do to get us together. She'll
It's been a month since we've been together, guys. Come on, let's.
but she'll
dinner.
move whatever she's
Good
got
for
to
her.
move. She'll, if she's got to pay for the whole vacation trip, she'll do it. She just wants to be together. That's her
Wow.
heart. And I remember her telling me, like, she's like, you sure y'all want to go with that lady at that moment? It's like, because that was the relationship. It
That
was not
lady
much.
being your mom.
Yeah,
mom,
yeah,
Yeah.
And I, I don't guilt her for that. It's like, and again, she looked at us as her children almost at that time.
Yeah.
And so my mom comes back, and we ended up moving with her, and my sister wasn't too happy. I was like, why wouldn't you be? You know,
Less of a responsibility.
yeah. But that's just her heart, for family. But again, she comes back, we get together, we start building a relationship. Again, church is always, there. Thank God that my brother-in-law, he's been kind of the leader in the church, pastoring, and again, having struggles, difficulties, still, not giving up. Again, I applaud him for that. I look up to him for that. A lot of people look at pastors and things that they think they have it made, or they think they're is easy or whatever. But no, man, he's had a lot of work to where he's at now. Thank God now they have a beautiful church in Timmonsville.
Yeah.
It was a gift from God, and they have 12 acres, beautiful piece of land. It was just a gift from God, really, because the way it was, the price they purchased it was really like a down payment for the purchase price.
Okay.
And it was all God. Like one connection through another, and now they're growing, and my brother, so at the end we're all within the church. We're leaders, So my brother-in-law, he's the music leader. My sister, the wife of the pastor, and Anareli is the youth pastor, and her husband Joe, and me and my wife, again, my wife and I, we're youth pastors. So
About to be pastors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nervous laughter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah. I think God is calling us to ministry.
Really?
Yeah. And okay, so this is a whole nother
Side note.
side
I
note.
want to hear this. I got to hear this.
So again, God, I'm growing, get out of high school. Didn't know, I knew that I wasn't going to college, university, none of that, because where we were at, and again, didn't have documents back then. Back in when I was graduating. Again, it's just things that other people look and don't look over.
Yeah.
I didn't have a license when I was in high school. Couldn't get a license when I was in high school, and didn't even. At one time, didn't even know what was illegal. What is that? Didn't understand it. But eventually, found out, and thank God, through one thing or another, DACA back in 2012, Obama opened up what's it called?
So a pathway to
A
citizenship?
pathway. No, not the citizenship,
Okay.
but he opened up to where we could, get, if you were brought here before you were 15. You had to be younger than 30 at the time.
Okay.
And you could get something called DACA, which was
I remember that.
yeah. So through that, my brother and I, we ended up having a work permit. But that work permit, you had to renew it every 2 years.
Yeah.
And we had background checks, this and that and the other. So we ended up applying, and thank God we got a work. They got accepted. They got a work permit, so we were here legally. My mom, when she married my stepdad, through time and again God, she ended up becoming a permanent resident, and then becoming a citizen.
Wow.
And that was a great achievement. I think my mom is so grateful for that.
That was
Again, coming here, with nothing, being able, my mom's somebody that when she's focused, like she's going to school now. Pointer,
Oh, wow.
I think. Pointer.
Yeah.
Is she really?
Yeah, to
so-
learn English.
Yeah, and
Good
she
for
and
her.
She's
Awesome.
retired, and she's like, I have a goal to learn English, and so she's going to school.
and she's dedicated. Like it's hard for her to miss a day, and it's like I admire my mom for that, because again, she didn't know how to read. I think she went to second grade, and that's it.
Yeah.
So she learned how to read. She's learning how to read English now.
She writes
How
better
old
in
is she?
English.
If you're allowed to say.
67.
And she's at Pointer,
Pointer.
learning how to read English, learning how to read.
And speak, and
Wow.
she likes to be independent, and she's like, I want to get to a point where I don't need to call you for a doctor's visit.
Well,
Right.
To translate,
Yeah.
talk about a strong woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
My
she does. She
goodness.
says it not with pride or nothing. She just says it. She don't want to be
She
a burden.
doesn't want to be a burden.
And I told
yeah.
my mom, you're never gonna be a
Never.
burden. Don't think that. So she
We have a lot to repay her.
Oh
She's
yeah, yeah.
never a burden.
So she used to work at Reeves Foods. She
Yeah.
she retired from there, and now she's retired and going to school.
So I'm seeing now what's so cool. All right, we understand your story, And now I know why you named your company United Properties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the family is united. You guys are super tight.
Yeah.
And-
And that's our strength. Like,
Yeah.
there's people that I've gone to, and they're like, I would never work with my family. That's the worst thing you can do. And like to me, like to us, it's our strength, it's our forte. You know, like because money's not an issue. Like you know, it's the thing. Like so we're not gonna be fighting for that. If somebody wants to split, you know, just tell me, and whatever's there, you know, let's just split. It don't matter. You know, we have more than when we started. That's my philosophy. You know, we have more than when we started. So if I'm left with 1,000 when we split, that's 1,000 more than what I had. You know, and then so that's that, and then again, we're all within the faith. You know, we know where we stand. You know, we know that money comes and goes. You know, we know that God is you know, above everything.
Your faith is in Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
And
100%.
what was, I think that's the strongest thing that holds us together.
Yeah.
My mom, you know, the faith. You know, I think we've accomplished what we've accomplished. Again, I think every house has been like a miracle. Every house, you know, we flip houses. We rent properties, and we, you know, eventually we want to start up a company called Team Quality Remodeling, which would be, you know, kind of going out there and remodeling for people. That's you know, something, but under the same umbrella of United Properties. And then again, getting a builder's license and stuff like that, to where we can just build from ground up and do all that. And you know, and again, we're right now at the point to where we're slowly progressing and getting to where we want to get. Again, there's no rush. You know, we're joyful where we're at. You know, I don't have a mansion, but I have a home with a beautiful family and my wife. And again, you know, I can go back and forth. I met my wife when I was 21 years old. We dated for 6 years, and God put, you know, she brought her all the way from Ecuador. Brought her because I was looking for someone.
Wow.
Aren't we all?
Not even joking. When he sees a picture of her, he shows me and says, "I'm gonna marry her." Had not even met her.
She didn't know I existed.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, it was beautiful because you know, I was 21. I was thinking it was getting really late. You know, what am I gonna do? I don't have, you know, a girlfriend or whatever. But you know, God brings her. And her parents, you know, they're missionaries in Ecuador. They come over here to be pastors, and I'm like, why am I looking for a pastor's daughter? You know, like, I don't know. Like, again,
Because God had a plan.
yeah, exactly. And I didn't know, you know, I didn't do. At the moment, I didn't want to, you know, do anything with ministry. Church, I was there, but I wasn't, you know, really into it. You know, I think and I don't know how much time we have, because I can go a little deeper into my faith walk and why I believe what I believe now. And it's a little, kind of a long story, but maybe we can do another episode.
Yeah.
But,
I think we should. I want to brag on them a little bit, because I think, you know, everybody's heard your story, but you know, what I want everybody to understand is through hard work, you guys have created more than just a little bit of things. I mean, you've got rental houses, you're remodeling already. I mean, you guys do it all.
Yeah.
You can paint, you guys you're constantly putting together this team that's growing, but that's the business part. The other part of what you guys are doing is how much you're involved in the church, giving back. Mm-hmm. You're with the youth, which is something I feel like I need to be doing more of too. I mean, you guys are giving back in that direction, and then you kind of start talking about becoming a pastor.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about that. So are you going to seminary? Or?
Yeah, so through our denomination is called Church of God of Prophecy, and they through them I can apply and become a pastor. Part of it is experience that I've already been through. I was and that's part of my other testimony, you know. But I would just kind of go over real quick is that in 2018 I was when we were working at the house. You remember we bought the first house. Just my sister, I asked my wife, you know, like we need to do something, and just the puzzle came together. My sister was like, hey, I got some money. How about we put it together? Let's do something together. I was working at Darlington Shredding. again, that's another, I think
Another blessing.
He'd call me. He'd be on that piece of equipment, but looking for houses to buy. I could hear the equipment. And Lord only knows what's going back there.
Yeah.
But you were making magic happen on that piece of equipment.
And again, I
Multitasking.
appreciate, Dane, Perkins, Scott Shelley.
Two guys that God put in your life.
Yeah.
Sure.
Johnny
Those are
Fry.
good guys. Those are good guys.
Yeah.
And then their father-in-law.
Oh man, I tell you a little quick story there with him.
Yeah.
This is something that I'll never forget. I started working there, just doing what I could.
This is Darlington Shredding.
Darlington
At
Shredding
18.
at 18. They thought I was 15. I looked so young.
I think you're
50 cents.
Yeah.
Or $50 a week or whatever.
Yeah, like what are you doing here? Like, yeah. And Mr. Johnny Fry, I don't know what he saw in me. Again, I think God's favor. And this is what I think God's favor is. I've seen it through everybody, like just people, like because I see His favor, and it's just the love of people, and so he, I was had a lot going on. There was his father-in-law was Freddie West. His name, he passed away, but he he wanted as much production as we could do. And I was doing a lot, I thought, at the moment, but I was just going all out, and I was like, "What?" Like now looking back, I'm like I should have left, but thank God I didn't. Yeah, and again, thank God I didn't because he was forming me. He was, doing something in me, and I remember one time they called me to the office, and they would call me to, just, get upset. They were upset. They were.
You did
We
this
gotta do
wrong,
more.
correct
Yeah.
You,
You
whatever.
broke this, didn't grease this and that and the other. And I remember one time they called me to the office. I was 18, I wasn't mature, and they called me in there, and his father-in-law, he tells me like, why we don't fire you, and why'd you leave? Why we had to change this roller, didn't grease it, and this and that. Like I'm doing as much as I can, and he was like, why I don't fire you? I said, why? He said, because I cannot replace you right now. And that hit hard, and I started to cry at that moment, and I told him. I was like, you think, and this is not, I guess, not this and him, not nothing, just life, and I was like, and I'll tell you this so I can tell you the rest of it, but I was like, I can find I'm not going to die of hunger. I can go somewhere and work, this is not the only job. And I told him some stuff, and then they call in Johnny, Mr. Johnny, and Johnny, he thought I was asking for a raise at the moment. I was like, he's like, let me tell you an advice, son. He said, never ask for a raise when you're getting scolded,
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was not the point.
Right.
But he saw something in me.
Yeah.
And they could have got rid of me, and they would have kept on going. Nothing would have happened, But he said, just go back to work. And I came back later, and something that I've learned from my older brother is to ask for forgiveness. He's a person that he's got, I would say, a temper, but he's one of the person that I've learned that it doesn't matter who it is. You go back and you ask for forgiveness. It don't matter. That's what a man is. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that from him because many times, and when we got, brothers, siblings, they all the time.
Fight.
Yeah, they're going to fight.
Yeah.
So what I've learned from him is like, you go and you ask for forgiveness. It don't matter, what happened, you ask for forgiveness. So I went back and I told him, Mr. John, I'm sorry, for the way I reacted. And he said, no, son, you spoke for yourself and go back and, just work, and he I always remember that because it was because of him that I stayed. And through that, man, like after that conversation, I went back and they didn't get rid of me. And Dane, he moved me so I wouldn't get fired, and then I built up a relationship with him.
Yeah.
Scott wasn't there yet, and then through that, then Scott came. I built a spiritual relationship with Scott too.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy, man. Like they're like brothers to me.
Oh yeah.
Again, like God putting people in my life. They're two of the greatest people I know. I can call them and like, hey, I need this. They'll do it. Like they won't think twice about it. And I don't know, like God put so much favor in me with them because I know they have their own things going, the issues or whatever, and they still would be there. Hey, what you need, let me know. And they look out for me. And so 18 years later, I worked there 18 and a half years.
Wow. Yeah.
I told Scott, I'm thinking about leaving the company, and I was like, man, I don't know how to tell him, like because I felt like, they've done so much for me. How can you tell someone you're going to leave when they've done so much? and I told him,
But you were stuck between a rock and a hard place because he'd been working there for so long, but working and growing United Properties.
Yeah.
So he got
Your
to a
heart was
point where he
full, yeah.
couldn't do both anymore.
You wanted to start your own business.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's the continuation of really, I mean, it's maybe an overused phrase or a misunderstood phrase, but the American dream.
yeah.
And y'all are living, breathing examples of what people mean when they talk about the American dream. And it's, and so being thankful and blessed by what the team at Darlington Shredding did for you.
Oh man, yeah.
Being able to work there, but it allowed you then to build this business.
Yeah, they helped me. I remember one of the things that they did was at when we first started. I think the second property we bought on Alligator, I got like Shark Tank. I got set up. We gonna go to them because we don't have much money, so we're gonna go to them and ask for a loan because at the bank was not gonna let us borrow.
Right.
So I got together and I was like, Scott, let me talk to you, man. And bang, let me sit down. And
You had your
We gotta
business
talk
pitch
business.
ready.
yeah, the pitch. I gotta throw you. I gotta throw you a pitch, man. Like, they're like, okay, what you got? And I was like, look, we want to do this and that and the other. We need, I think, like 15,000. And then Scott didn't think twice. Like, okay, we'll give it to you. You just pay back, and I can't remember how long, but things that they did, and he knew it was coming. He knew that and he would tell me, like, you got something in you, man. Wherever you go, you're gonna be successful. I can just tell. And Scott, so when I told him, I was like, man, I'm thinking about leaving, and he's like, well, think about it again, like pray about it. And Scott is a very spiritual person,
Yeah.
man. He's like always, spiritual goes before anything. And he's like, think about it, just tell me what you need, and let's think about it. So I thought about it and prayed about it, because before I even told him, we were with my wife. My wife's always been the one that's like, hey, like, you go, that's the greatest thing you can have, like a wife that'll push you and believes in you. Because I was like, look, I have something secure. I've been working here 30 years. 18 years.
Two kids.
Yeah. I was like,
Steady income.
a steady income. Like some people, like dream of that. That's their max,
Yeah.
and they're happy with it, and that's fine. Again, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's right.
But again, I was like, are you sure? What about if it goes south, man? Like, what are you willing to sacrifice things? She's like, yeah, I'm willing to do it. I believe in you. And so that was the first step to talking to him, and I eventually got open the door, because it's like a lot of the things that I believe God opens and his will, you don't have to fight him. It just happens. Like one day he calls me, and he calls me to the office and be like, hey, come to the office, I want to talk to you. And I want you to tell me how you feel in the company, what you want to do, what's your future looking like. And I hadn't told no one. It's like, and he was not the only one that called me. He was just going, with leaders in the company just to see, where they were
How they
at.
were feeling.
Yeah, and he's great about that. And so, he calls me, and I was like, oh, but this is the opportunity. And so I tell him, and this is what I'm thinking. And he's like, you know what? For the next month, I want you to ask me questions about the company, and I want to mentor you before you leave. I was like, what? Like, God, like, what better, way to leave a company? Your boss is telling you he wants to mentor you.
Wow.
And I started asking, I want you to come. This is your homework, to go and come back and tell me,
Ask me
questions, just any questions, within the company, to where I can help you out. Man, like, that was like, God, like, I thank him so much to today. Now
He trained you how to run a business through that company, which is a big company.
Yeah, huge.
That's yeah.
And there's several, companies. So now he's the head of school at King's Academy.
Yeah, I know.
And that was a leap of faith that I think he took. And again,
God called him to do that.
yes, that was a calling. And again, that's another thing, like, that I believe there's callings. There are careers. There are different things that we can do in life, but a calling is just, you'll do it without thinking about it. You'll do it just because by faith, that's what God wants you to do. So again, going back to ministry, in 2018, God calls us to ministry without us being prepared. but knowing that it was God, knowing that like I had no doubt in my mind that it was God that was calling us, because a pastor in North Charleston had left. You know, he was like, you know, I gotta stop for some reason. You know, like he's like, I gotta, you know, do something else, and I'm like. My in-laws called me one day. We're working at the house, the first house that you sold for us.
Yeah.
And he calls us and be like, "Hey, like, I need you to come home. I want to talk to you." And from then they're like, "We want you to pastor a church for 2 to 3 months." I'm like,
How?
like how, like this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is a small church. Maybe at the time it's like, you know, 20 people. But I'm like, God, like I went through anxiety. I went through,
I'm sure.
you know, different things. But all that, I went through all that, depression. But I knew it was God. That was like the craziest thing, because I knew it was Him, because I wanted a different lifestyle in my life, the addictions, changes in life. I knew that God, because I've been asking God, you know, make me free. I want to be free. You know. I have, you know, so many issues in my life, and I knew that it was God. So they called us, and I got upset at my wife because she was not like, she was the one like, oh yeah, we can do it. You know, we can cover that spot.
Yeah.
And again, this is a little, I don't know, we're lengthening, you know, too long, but that testimony, I would like to, you know, share it a little more deep, to get the grasp, and maybe people have addictions, people are struggling. And I think that'll be a good for other people out there for them to hear it, you know. And but again, with the company back and forth, you know, we through that decision, God's a faithful God. I tell you, I keep talking about God because to me now, there's no greater thing than God. Like, I don't care, you know, what I have. My relationship with God is you know, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. But I've achieved some stuff, and it's never been like the thing that really has the peace what I'm looking for. It's just that God has been, you know, faithful, and when I took that decision, even though it was my hardest at the time, it was the hardest decision of my life to go to Charleston, drive an hour and 40 minutes to preach, and not having the experience. But I feel like, you know, like a David, you know, like somebody that's called from a place of being unknown, nobody, but God knew my heart, you know. And I go and it turned out to be 2 years that we were there.
Wow.
And God was faithful through that decision, man. Like, God broke addictions through that decision. You know, at the time I wanted to be a realtor. Like right before we went to be pastors, at the time I was like, man, I'd like to be. I was looking for options. You know, I think when you're in work, when you're working somewhere, you have these like seasons that come, and you're like, I want to do something different.
Yeah.
I want to be a car salesman. I was like, man, I think I would be a good car salesman. You know, and then I was like, I think I would be a good, you know, realtor.
Right.
You know, so and this is the thing. Like, I believe so much in God, because God is so real that He'll talk to you, but you just gotta hear that little small voice. And I could tell you that it was God telling me, you know, He said, if you take care of my people, I will take care of you. Do not worry about, you know, like money. Just take care of my people. I heard that so clear. It was not an audible voice, but it was something that nobody else had told me. It was just me, something inside me that when I took
Take care of your people.
Take care of my people. So we went, and I no lies, like, my wife wanted a car. We had an old. She had a little old Honda Civic. Look, I tell you this little testimonies because this is what God does. So she had a little old Honda Civic, you know, kind of something that we was getting by, but then we had a child, so we want something bigger. She was like, I want a Highlander, and I was like, we can't afford that, you know, like that's you know, up there. And she's like, yeah, she told me this. She's like, and she's a woman of faith. I think the reason I am where I am now is because of her faith, and now that I'm, you know, maturing and growing my faith. But she's like, I'm not asking you for the car. I'm asking God for the car.
Wow.
I was like, but who's gonna pay it? So We took that made that decision to go together, even though I was upset, even though I went through anxiety, even though all those was going by. And so one day I'm at work, I'm still working at Dawn Shredding, and Scott calls me to the office and tells me, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And they had closed down a company, and they had a GMC, nice, 4-door pickup, white, nice. I was like, man, that's a nice truck. And I had a Tacoma. I'm saying I had a nice truck. I didn't really need a truck, but he calls me in the office one day, and tells me, you know what? Like, we have this truck. We don't know what to do with it. Like, what? Like, and he shows me the title, and he's like, this truck is yours.
Wow.
And I'm like, I didn't. What's going on? Like I have a truck. This is a joke or dream. What? And he's like, nah, man. Like, and there, like the thing is, like, there's other people that were driving old cars. There's other people. Like, the company is a big company. It's not like I'm the only one that's there and has the worst, car. No, it was several people, and he tells me, you know what? He signed the title, and it's yours. And I'll call my wife, and I'll tell her. I still remember, like I call her and tell her, like, look, what just happened? And she's like, what? I was like, they just gave me a truck, and like a $15,000 truck. It was just a gift. And she was like, I knew that was coming. Like something was coming. So with that, I put my truck for sale. It sells for $10,000 really quick. I have a.
You give me the Honda Civic.
I give her the Honda. I can't remember.
Yeah, I drove it.
Yeah, I remember that.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
We gave it to her.
It's a blue.
Yeah.
Blue Honda Civic.
Yeah, so we give her the Honda Civic, and then we go on our anniversary, and it was like a gift from God. We go and we have a truck that's paid off. We have a car, the $10,000 down payment for a car that she wants, and we find one on the way to our anniversary trip, and we go by and buy the car at $10,000 down. It brings it down to what we can afford, and I was like, God, like, this is, that's the thing. Like, when you do
God showed you how He was going to help you.
Yeah, when you do God's will, you don't have to, like, you can work hard and try to do it yourself, but how much greater is when God just gives it to you without you working for it. And like I said, with that, like, testimony after the testimony, we see, the 40 acres, again, my wife's like, look at it. Like, we don't have the money to buy 40 acres on Alligator. She's like, and again, Mr. Arthur Moore, we go to him, and he's like, he's like, we two young, a young couple. He's like, I have it for sale. And my wife's like, we want it all. I'm like, I'm like, because I was going with the plan, like, hey, let's buy it, because he was going to split it. I was like, let's
get a little piece of it.
Let's buy like 6 acres, and then we can build on there. But she's like, nah, let's buy all of it. Like, with what money? Let's be realistic. Like, I'm always like, be realistic. And she's like, no, God will open ways. Like, and so we ended up finding a way to buy it. He takes it serious. I didn't think he was going to take it serious, but he takes it serious. And we buy the property. Now I think it's worth a lot more, and it's just sitting there. But I thank God, He's going to open the door there. And again, like testimony, but through testimony with just buying one property, buying another property, and it's just one after another. And every property that we buy, it seems like it's like God's, just in it. And so that's it kept on adding up to the point that we're like, we got to do something. We're to the point that we either do one thing good or two things not that are not going to be very.
I will say, our family is very close, and so even this past weekend, I had a youth say, "What you have with your family is very rare." Yeah. And so I they're my siblings, so for me it's like, really? And then I think about it, and I'm like, I think it is, like, and so they started their company when I was in college, and so United Properties was growing, and for me, I've always felt like, Lord, like, don't just let my family prosper without me, get me involved some way. And they've always motivated me, encouraged me, and have been there for me, literally financially, as support, for advice, for everything in between. And I was working at at Darlington Shredding. It's A&C Recycling. And so I get pregnant, and we're working there 7 to 5, Monday through Friday. It's really long hours. And so I'm crying, and I'm praying to the Lord, and I'm like, Lord, what am I gonna do? I don't wanna be working 50 hours a week and not seeing my daughter. And Fernando tells me, well, why don't you become a realtor? That way, you know, we have a family business and it's growing. And so, honestly, I didn't know the job of a realtor. I knew it because of the process that my mom went through to trying to buy a house and helping her through all that. But studying and getting my license and everything, and now seeing the blessing that I've gotten through my family, I mean,
It's the perfect fit for you inside of what your family's doing.
all in
And
the
this is
circle.
why we wanted to have y'all on the podcast. I mean, your story, thankfully, we've gotten to know it because, Anareli, you're a team member with us at Greystone, and you're doing a phenomenal job as a real estate agent, helping people buy and sell property. And it's such an encouragement to work with you and see that. And then Fernando, and you know, the relationship you've had with Robert for years, and the work that y'all are doing. You're an inspiration to us. Your story's an inspiration to us. You're also tangibly helping Florence move forward, as well as, and most importantly, your relationship with the Lord.
Exactly.
And the influence that you're having on younger generations. Anareli, before we came, you were talking about how y'all were at a youth camp this weekend, and you were concerned about your voice, which it sounded perfect.
Thank you.
Don't worry about it. But
Yeah.
we are just so thankful for y'all coming and sharing. And I know
Yeah.
there's so much more. And
Yeah.
hopefully we can have you guys back on the podcast.
If the price is
again.
right, we'll come back.
Yeah.
No, but again, I want to thank you guys for having us. Florence, for some reason, and I don't say this, I've told many people, I feel like Florence is my home, and I love the growth. I love what's going on. I'm like, I even have the page to follow, the Florence page, because I don't know, I just feel like this is my town, and I love it, and I wouldn't change it. I like to see growth. I like to see developments. I love to see downtown growing. I go to other cities like Greenville's nice, Charleston's nice, but I don't know, there's something about
It's not
Florence.
home.
No, it's not
not
home.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, with Robert, man, like, he's like, I've called him so many times, and we talk to 20, 30 an hour, and I'm always like, wow, like I'm just grateful because I know he's got a lot on his plate, and for him to take his time, and just speaking to me, and he was one of the motivators for me to to take that step. I would tell him, he's like, hey, when you gonna do it, man? I think you're gonna do great, man. Just go ahead and do it. And I thank you for that,
Well,
for believing in us.
I feel like I talked you out of it for about a year. So you're welcome, Scott. And then you were like, no, it's time, and I was worried about you. And now I call and check on you, and you busier than you can be.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the plan God's got for you guys.
Yeah.
And always remember to keep his plan first.
Yeah.
And he's got a big plan for you, and he's blessing you and putting you on that path. And so keep coming back, give us updates.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
Again,
thank you guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank
y'all
you
for having
so
us.
much.
Yeah.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks.
Yeah.